The moment I got that rejection email, my heart sank like a stone in a frozen lake. It was 2 a.m. and I was staring at my laptop screen, the glow burning my eyes as the words, "We regret to inform you," carved themselves into my soul. I'd poured 6 months into that project. Every late night, every skipped meal, every moment of self-doubt I'd pushed through to submit that application. It was my dream job, the one I'd built my entire identity around, and just like that, it was gone. I felt like the world had slapped me across the face and laughed while I crumbled. Rejection wasn't new to me, but this one broke me. I slammed my laptop shut, crawled into bed, and cried until my throat burned. I was 27, jobless, and convinced I was a failure who'd never amount to anything. Let me take you back to where it all started. Growing up, I was the kid who always played it safe. I followed the rules, got straight A's, and did everything I was told to avoid screwing up. Rejection was my kryptonite. Every no felt like a personal attack, a neon sign flashing, "You're not good enough." In high school, I got cut from the basketball team after practicing for weeks. I didn't even cry. I just quit sports altogether. In college, I applied for a prestigious internship and got a polite, "Thank you, but no." I stopped applying for anything competitive after that. I told myself I was protecting my peace, but really, I was hiding from the pain of being told I wasn't enough. By the time I hit my mid-20s, I'd built a life around avoiding rejection at all costs. I stuck to safe jobs, safe relationships, safe dreams. But deep down, I knew I was suffocating. That rejection email at 2 a.m. wasn't just about a job. It was the culmination of years of running from failure, only to have it catch up and punch me in the gut. I remember lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, my mind racing. Why do I keep failing? Why does every door I knock on slam shut? I felt like I was drowning in self-pity, and the worst part, I didn't know how to stop. I spent the next week barely leaving my apartment. I stopped answering texts, stopped shaving, stopped caring. My friends noticed, but I brushed them off with fake smiles and "I'm fine" lies. I was spiraling, and the weight of that rejection was crushing me. But something happened in that darkness. One night, I was scrolling through my phone, numbly watching videos to escape my thoughts, when I stumbled across a TED Talk about failure. The speaker said something that hit me like a lightning bolt. Rejection isn't about your worth. It's about someone else's choice. I paused the video, replaying those words in my head. For the first time, I wondered if I'd been seeing rejection all wrong. What if it wasn't a verdict on my value? What if it was just a moment? A moment I could learn from, grow from, even use to my advantage? I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I grabbed a notebook and started writing down every rejection I could remember, every no, every failure, every time I'd let those moments define me. There were dozens, and as I stared at that list, I realized I'd been carrying them like chains, letting them dictate my every move. That was the night I decided to change. I was done letting rejection control my life. I started digging into why rejection hurt so much, why it made me feel like I was less than. I read books, listened to podcasts, and even talked to a therapist friend who didn't charge me for her advice. Thank God, because I was broke. What I found was a pattern. Every time I got rejected, I took it personally. I saw it as proof I wasn't smart enough, talented enough, or worthy enough. But the truth? Rejection often had nothing to do with me. That job I didn't get? They hired someone with 5 years more experience. That date, who ghosted me? They were going through their own mess. That project that got turned down? It wasn't the right fit for their vision, not a reflection of my effort. This realization was like flipping a switch in my brain. I started to see rejection not as a dead end, but as a detour. A painful one, sure, but a detour that could lead somewhere new. I began experimenting with this mindset, applying it to small things first. I asked for a discount at a coffee shop, fully expecting a no. When they said yes, I was shocked. When they said no the next time, I didn't flinch. I just smiled and paid full price. I started submitting my work to more places, knowing most would reject me. And they did. But each no felt less like a stab and more like a nudge to keep going. I was rewriting the story I'd told myself about rejection, and it was changing everything. By the time I applied for another job a few months later, I was a different person. I still got nervous, still doubted myself, but I didn't let those feelings stop me. I prepared harder, networked smarter, and when the rejection came, because it did, I didn't collapse. I sent a polite follow-up email asking for feedback. To my surprise, the hiring manager responded, saying they loved my work but went with an internal candidate. They even passed my portfolio to another company. That company? They called me for an interview the next week. That one moment of courage of refusing to let rejection define me opened a door I never saw coming. This wasn't just about jobs or applications. This mindset shift started bleeding into every part of my life. I stopped being afraid to ask for what I wanted, whether it was a raise, a second date, or just a favor from a friend. I started seeing rejection as a filter, weeding out what wasn't meant for me so I could focus on what was. The numbers backed it up. In 6 months, I applied to 47 opportunities. Jobs, freelance gigs, even a writing contest. I got 39 rejections. But those 8 yeses, they changed my life. One was a freelance contract that paid $7,000. Another was a mentorship with someone I admired. And one was a yes to a pitch I sent to a magazine, which got published and shared over 10,000 times online. I'm not saying rejection stopped hurting. It still stings. But now, when I get a no, I don't hear, "You're not enough." I hear, "Not this time." And that shift, it's been the difference between staying stuck and moving forward, between hiding from life and chasing it. So, how do you actually make this mindset shift? How do you go from crumbling under rejection to using it as fuel? I'm not going to lie. It's not a light switch you flip and suddenly you're immune to pain. It's a process, a deliberate rewiring of how you think and act. After that night of scribbling down my rejections and realizing I'd let them cage me, I built a system to change how I saw no. It wasn't easy. There were days I wanted to give up, days I still felt like a fraud. But these steps, these practical, do-them-right-now steps, helped me climb out of that dark place. They're not magic, but they're real, and they worked for me. Here's how you can make rejection your ally instead of your enemy. First, you've got to face the fear head-on. Rejection hurts because we tie it to our worth. So, the first step is to name it. Write down every rejection you can remember. Big ones, small ones, doesn't matter. That time you got turned down for a promotion? Write it. That awkward moment when someone said no to a date? Write it. For me, it was 43 rejections on that list, from job applications to that time I asked my crush to prom and got a pitying smile. Seeing them on paper was brutal but liberating. It showed me how much I'd let those moments define me. Then, next to each one, write what you learned. Maybe you didn't get the job because you didn't prep enough, or maybe it just wasn't the right fit. For me, writing, "They hired someone with a master's degree" next to a job rejection made it clear it wasn't about my value, it was about their needs. This exercise strips away the emotion and forces you to see rejection for what it is: data, not destiny. Step 2 is to reframe the story. Every time you get a no, your brain wants to scream, "You suck." You have to train it to say something else. For me, it was repeating a mantra. A no is just a detour, not a dead end. Sounds cheesy, but it works. I started saying it out loud before every big ask. Job interviews, pitching ideas, even asking for a discount at the grocery store. One time, I asked my boss for a raise, fully expecting a rejection. I said my mantra in the bathroom mirror before the meeting, hyping myself up. He said no, citing budget cuts, but he also gave me a new project that led to a promotion 6 months later. The mantra didn't make the no disappear, but it kept me from spiraling. You can pick your own phrase, something short, something that clicks for you. Say it until it becomes your default thought. Over time, it rewires your brain to see rejection as a bump, not a brick wall. Third, take action. Small, low-stakes action. The best way to get over the fear of rejection is to get rejected on purpose. Sounds crazy, right? But hear me out. I started what I called my rejection challenge. For 30 days, I asked for something every day that I thought would get a no. Day 1, I asked a barista for a free coffee. She laughed and said no, but I didn't die. Day 5, I asked a stranger to take a selfie with me. He said yes, and we ended up chatting for 10 minutes. By day 20, I was pitching articles to big publications, knowing most would ignore me. I got 22 rejections that month, but also 3 yeses, one of which was a 5x100 freelance gig. The point isn't to win every time, it's to desensitize yourself to the sting. Start small, ask for a discount, pitch an idea to a friend, apply for something you're underqualified for. Each no builds your resilience, and each yes proves you're stronger than you think. Step 4 is to seek feedback, even when it's scary. Most rejections come with zero explanation, which leaves your brain to fill in the blanks with worst-case scenarios. So, ask. After I got that soul-crushing job rejection, I sent a polite email. Thank you for letting me know. Could you share any feedback to help me improve? I was terrified they'd ignore me, or worse, tell me I was awful. But they replied, saying my portfolio was strong, but they needed someone with niche experience I didn't have. That feedback didn't just ease the sting, it gave me a roadmap. I took an online course in that niche, and 3 months later, I landed a similar role. Not every rejection will come with feedback, but when you ask, you're taking control. Use a simple script, thank them, ask for insight, and keep it professional. Even if they don't respond, you've shown yourself you're not afraid to face the truth. Finally, track your wins, no matter how small. Rejection can make you blind to your progress, so you need proof you're moving forward. I started a win journal where I wrote down every yes I got, even tiny ones. Asked for a deadline extension and got it? Win. Got a compliment on my work? Win. Landed a $200 gig? Big win. In 6 months, I had 87 wins in that journal. Compare that to the 39 rejections I mentioned earlier. The numbers don't lie. I was winning more than I was losing, even if it didn't feel like it. Get a notebook, use your phone, whatever. Just track it. Seeing those wins stack up will remind you that rejection isn't the whole story. The benefits of this mindset shift are real and they're measurable. Before, I was applying to maybe 3 jobs a year, terrified of rejection. After, I applied to 47 opportunities in 6 months, landed 8, and earned $7,000 from freelance work alone. My confidence grew. I started pitching ideas I'd never dared to before, like that magazine article that got 10,000 shares. My relationships improved too. I stopped taking no personally, so I was bolder in asking friends for help or reaching out to new people. I even reconnected with an old mentor who introduced me to a network that changed my career. Time-wise, I spent less energy wallowing in self-doubt and more building skills. 20 hours on that online course led to a job that paid 30% more than my old one. Compare that to the old me who'd spend weeks sulking after one rejection. This isn't about pretending rejection doesn't hurt. It's about not letting it stop you. These steps, naming your rejections, reframing the story, taking action, seeking feedback, and tracking wins, gave me a framework to turn no into a tool. I went from avoiding risks to chasing them, from seeing rejection as failure to seeing it as a filter for what's meant for me. And the best part? You can start this today, right now. All it takes is one small step, one tiny ask, one moment of courage to face the no and keep going. I wish I could tell you that after changing how I saw rejection, life became a montage of constant wins, doors flying open, confetti falling, everyone clapping. But the truth? Rejection still shows up, uninvited, like a guest who won't leave. Just last month, I pitched a dream project to a client I'd been chasing for years. I spent weeks perfecting it, pouring my heart into every detail. Their response? A cold one-line email. Not what we're looking for. My stomach dropped, just like it did that night at 2 a.m. years ago. But this time, I didn't spiral. I didn't hide. I took a deep breath, emailed them back for feedback, and started working on my next pitch by lunch. That's the power of this mindset shift. It doesn't erase the pain, but it gives you the strength to keep moving. And that's what I want for you. The courage to face rejection, to feel the sting, and to keep chasing what sets your soul on fire anyway. This journey isn't about becoming someone who never fails. It's about becoming someone who isn't afraid to try. Every no you've ever gotten, every job you didn't land, every idea that got shot down, every time you felt like you weren't enough, those moments don't define you. They're just detours, pointing you towards something better. For me, those 39 rejections in 6 months weren't losses. They were stepping stones to the 8 yeses that changed my life. That $7,000 freelance gig? It came after 12 straight no's. That magazine article with 10,000 shares? It was rejected by 3 other editors before it found a home. Every time I chose to see rejection as a detour instead of a dead end, I got closer to where I was meant to be, and you can too. So here's my challenge to you. Don't wait. Start today. Grab a piece of paper and write down one rejection that's been haunting you. Maybe it's a job you didn't get, a relationship that fell apart, or even a dream you gave up on. Write it down, and next to it, write one thing you learned from it. Maybe you learned you need to sharpen a skill, or maybe you learned you're stronger than you thought. Then, take one small action. Ask for something you're scared to ask for. It could be as simple as requesting a discount at a store or pitching an idea to a friend. Expect the no. Embrace it. Let it teach you. And when you get that first yes, and you will, write it down in a win journal. Watch those wins stack up. They'll remind you that you're not defined by the no's, but by the courage to keep going. I'm not some guru who's cracked the code to a rejection-proof life. I'm just a guy who decided to stop letting fear call the shots. I went from crying myself to sleep over a job rejection to landing opportunities I never thought possible. All because I changed one thing: how I saw no. You don't need a fancy degree or a perfect plan to do this. You just need to start. Right now, you're one decision away from rewriting your story. One ask away from a win that could change everything. The life you want is on the other side of those rejections you're afraid to face. So face them. Feel the fear, do it anyway, and watch what happens. If this story hit home for you, if you're ready to stop letting rejection hold you back, hit that subscribe button. Join me on this journey. We're in this together. I put out videos every week with real, actionable ways to take control of your life, your dreams, your future, and I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me, what's one rejection you're afraid of right now? What's one small step you're going to take today to face it? Let's hold each other accountable. Let's turn those no's into stepping stones. You've got this. I believe in you. Now go out there and prove it to yourself.